I stand before you tonight and hear the echoes of the past. I sense the celebration of the present, and I anticipate the promise of the future. Our Torah, too, tells us of the ancient lives of our ancestors, but those tales still speak today. While they lived their lives absorbed in their pressing missions, they simultaneously define the mandate of their descendants. Their actions took place in the distant past, but remain alive in the present. This week is Yitzhak's week. What was his defining drive? What is his message for us today? V'ele toldos Yitzhak, and these are the generations of Yitzhak. The Medrash comments on this verse and says, who are these generations? Who is the child attributed to Yitzhak? Esav. Esav the hunter is Yitzchak's son. Esav the deceiver, the bandit, coarse, red-blooded Esav, the Medrash tells us, is the child closest to Yitzchak's heart. How perplexing! What does Yitzhak see in his disrespectful child? What draws this servant of God, who is prepared to lay his life down on the altar, to a man who cast off every semblance of sensitivity to God and man? Yitzchak's life's work, his preoccupation, was digging wells. He spent his days thrusting a spade into earth in search of water. Because Yitzhak was not just in search of obvious holiness, he was looking for God in unexpected places. Streams and rivers carry their waters easily. Their flow is unobstructed. But the earth is mute. Its layers of rock and sediment suppress the water churning beneath it, silencing its hopeful song. That's where Yitzhak goes. That's what quickens his pulse. The notion that if he can just dig long enough, if he can remove those obstinate layers, he will find water, even in the stubborn earth. His son Yaakov was a perfect man, the perfect Jewish child. He was smart, respectful. He adored both his parents, but was loved by his mother most. He was the kid who gave you nachas. But Yitzhak was not satisfied with conventional nachas. He wanted to reveal godliness not only in the tents of Torah, but in the wild fields Esav called home. Vayehav Yitzchak es Esav ki tzayed befiv. Yitzchak favored Esav because he was cunning with his mouth. Yitzchak saw in Esav a man of the world, a man quick with his mouth, skillful with his hands, who knew the world well, and that he loved. He loved Esav and his complexities because his life's mission was to unearth an awareness of God in the most distant and difficult places. On a recent trip to South Dakota, over the Sukkot holiday, I met a Jew at the hotel's valet parking. We struck up a conversation, and I asked him if he would like to shake the lulav. After we were done, he told me, "You know, Rabbi, as a Midwestern Jew, I never imagined I would be able to do this mitzvah here in South Dakota." Of course he didn't, because a Jew once said the same thing in North Dakota, and in Wyoming, and in Montana, and many years ago, a Jew thought the same of New York, Los Angeles, London, Paris, Melbourne, and Johannesburg. These lands were once uncultivated, but the Rebbe charged us to be well-diggers. He showed us how to view the good in our fellow and how to see the ultimate and unlimited potential in each individual. Some were dispatched to uncover spiritual wells in Sydney, in Berlin, in Buenos Aires, and in the Congo. And now, 75 years after the Rebbe and Rebbitzin came to the shores of America, I'm preparing to go to the last of these United States, South Dakota, where I will be joining an amazing group of my fellow Jews in digging that final well. As a young child in 1991, I came to New York with my parents to spend Rosh Hashanah with the Rebbe. The day before we returned to our Chabad house in Bournemouth, England, my father took me to the afternoon mincha one last time. As the Rebbe walked out, he paused. He looked at me and he said, "Fahrt Gesundheit," travel in good health. I think about these words as I prepare now with my wife and our 2 daughters to travel to the Rushmore State, the final state without a Chabad Shliach. Like the faces of our country's greatest leaders etched into that faceless mountain, we hope to carve out Yitzhak's image in the earth. I feel fortunate to be joining you, my fellow Shluchim, in rallying to the Rebbe's call to search and uncover the waters of holiness in every state without exception. And when we do, when we follow in the ways of Yitzhak, as taught to us by the Rebbe, we will come to the time when we will be able to say, Ki ata avinu, you are our Father, with the arrival of Mashiach, takef umiyad mamash.